We have the most advanced technology, medicine, and diagnostics that the world has ever known. And that's before you count the AI revolution. What could those following an ancestral diet and lifestyle possibly have to teach us about health and fitness? On the face of it, it seems laughable. No civilization has ever been so successful. No group of people has ever explored, innovated, or known so much. In the last 150 years, the day-to-day experience of the average person has become completely unrecognizable as compared to, say, that of a human pretty much at any time in recorded history. And that includes our health. We've eradicated many terrible diseases. We live longer. We're taller. On the one hand, the experiment of the modern West has been wildly successful. But you can't help but notice that there are some things about our health that don't have an easy answer. You've got to wonder, as I do, whether some of the health challenges that we face are a problem of our own making, and whether traditional cultures knew something that we forgot. We may be living longer, but are we living better? Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Norbie Schickel, and I've been obsessed with the topics of health, fitness, and human performance for as long as I can remember. I'm the founder of Anthem Athletics, a training and fighting apparel brand, and I started this show to explore the topics and forces that are robbing us of our health and our vitality, and to work to reclaim the radical health and fitness that is our birthright. Now, if that's what you're about, you're in the right place. So hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. Today, we're talking hunter-gatherers, we're talking ancestral diets, and we're talking traditional wisdom. And I'm going to share 4 specific lessons, 4 specific takeaways that have stood out to me in my studies of traditional diets and ancestral living that I believe are more important now than ever when it comes to implications of modern human health. And we cannot talk ancestral diets and traditional foods without discussing the work of Dr. Weston A. Price. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, is the most important book written on human health and nutrition ever written, full stop. But even among his fans, the incredible context behind Dr. Price's work is often missed. It's almost forgotten history now, but in the 1920s and the 1930s, a debate raged as to the cause of the alarming rise in dental cavities. The 2 leading explanations among scientists of the day were either a decline in dental hygiene or a decline in ethnic hygiene. In other words, race mixing. An erosion of the pure genetic stock had created unfortunate racial hybrids, cursed with poor conformation, intelligence, and teeth. And if you think that blaming cavities on race mixing sounds odd, keep in mind this was the height of the scientific racism movement, not just in places like Germany, but in the United States as well. With the help of his wife, Dr. Weston A. Price planned and executed a multi-year, multi-country study that showed that a degradation in genetics was not to blame, but a degradation in nutrition was. That wherever one observed a movement away from real, unprocessed, nutrient-dense foods to processed, nutrient-poor, modern diets of the 1930s, the results were the same. Disastrous. Genetics had very little to do with it. Since Price, there have been many other scientists and researchers who've studied traditional cultures and people, some of them still living, eating, and thriving as they have for thousands of years. The Hadza, the Masai, the Kitavans, to name a few. And they've all noticed the same pattern, that those following a traditional diet and lifestyle enjoy incredible, almost impossibly good health and longevity, while at the same time, health in the developed world seems to be on the decline. So the question is there something that we should learn? Let's start with the most controversial lesson first, and that is that calories and macros don't matter nearly as much as we think. Now, we're so used to thinking in terms of calories, and macros, and nutrition facts, but no traditional culture uses these concepts to determine what to eat. In fact, the concept of a calorie as a unit of energy with respect to food only came about in the 1880s. The nutrition facts that are pretty much mandated in the United States for pretty much all packaged foods, that only happened in 1994. In the timeline of human history, This is all pretty much like yesterday. And humans did just fine. No obesity crisis, no metabolic dysfunction. Because traditional cultures don't pursue food based on nutrition labels, but based on food quality and nutrient density, the same as any other animal in the wild. Modern humans, on the other hand, are the only species that relies on chemical calculations to tell us which foods we should eat. And we're the only species with the crisis of metabolic health. We've often heard that excess consumption of a particular food is to blame for a particular health crisis. Fat, carbs, sugar, animal protein. It's a long list. But is that what's really going on? And are any of these food groups or macros actually to blame? Or is there something else that's really happening behind the scenes? Let's examine a few. Carbohydrates. Are carbohydrates the driver of metabolic dysfunction and obesity? A lot of people think so. But would it surprise you to know that the Kitavans, a group in Papua New Guinea, eat a diet that consists of around 70% carbohydrates in the form of tubers, fruit, and vegetables, with essentially no metabolic dysfunction, type 2 diabetes, or obesity? Now, what about sugar? Something that I've personally struggled with in the past. Is sugar at the root cause of the metabolic or mental health crisis that we're living through right now? During part of the year, the Hadza, a group of hunter-gatherers in Tanzania, consume 85% of their total calories in the form of raw honey. And again, no metabolic health crisis, no obesity, no mental health problems. Now, what about animal protein and saturated fats? If they really are the cause of heart attacks and cancer, then how have groups like the Masai, who survive on a diet of mostly cow's milk and blood, or the indigenous Alaskans, whose diet for much of the year consisted of dried salmon dipped in seal oil, how have they avoided the same or an even worse catastrophic rise in heart disease and cancer that we've seen in the West? Now, we could play this game all day, but I'll save you some time. Whatever macro, micro, or component of the food that you think is the cause of whatever the health crisis is of the day, there is a very good chance that there is a traditional group that was or is thriving on that very food as the core component of their diet. There's a catch. They are all real, whole, unprocessed versions of whatever that food is. Okay, no long list of ingredients that you can't understand, no seed oils, no natural flavors, just real, whole foods. That's the secret, and it's been hiding in plain sight. In our modern system of health, we often think of the body as a collection of systems or a series of parts rather than an integrated whole. Modern specialization has its benefits, for sure, but it comes with some limitations as well. And if anything, the health and the vitality of ancestral people shows us that the body is much, much more integrated than we could imagine. Let's go back to Price's work as an example. The impact of choosing real, nutrient-dense foods was not simply a matter of better metabolic health. We're talking about the very structure of the bones themselves. Picture after picture provide an absolute mountain of evidence for this case. Those eating a diet high in processed foods had terrible teeth, poor bone conformation, and were mouth breathers by and large. Those on their natural, traditional diets, consisting of real whole foods, the opposite. Strong bones, straight, white teeth, strong jaw formation, and nasal breathers. And this is despite access to modern dental hygiene, not because of it. Price says that those following their primitive diets, quote, make no effort whatsoever to improve. In spite of this, they have no tooth decay, end quote. It's not the part that they've attended to, but the whole body. And whole body health is the result. To the modern reader, this is a complete paradox. Healthy teeth without dental hygiene is like saying that chain smoking cigarettes is the path to exceptional lung health. But is it any more logical to assume that a person could develop and maintain healthy teeth in the absence of healthy bones, strong organs, and a healthy gut? And if the food that we eat plays a major role in each one of these parts of the body, then the puzzle pieces start to come together. Now, we are living in a time when obesity and metabolic dysfunction, the two diabetes, have gone from the exception to the rule. And some of it is vanity in a sense, for sure, but a lot of it isn't. Deaths from obesity and diet-related diseases are estimated at somewhere between 100,000 and over 600,000 Americans every year. Now, that's a big range, but either way, it's a big issue. And there's no historical precedent. No society in the past has ever struggled with weight and obesity the way that we modern humans struggle today. But no society in the past ever ate the food that we ate. The average American now consumes 55% of his total calories in the form of ultra-processed foods. And it's not just that these foods are calorie-rich and nutrient-poor, although they are. More importantly, multiple studies have demonstrated that these foods have the effect of increasing our hunger hormones and reducing our satiety hormones. In other words, it's not simply a story of willpower. A little over 10 years ago, a group of researchers decided to measure the caloric burn of two groups of people. A group of incredibly active hunter-gatherers from Tanzania and a group of sedentary office workers from a typical American city. And despite wildly different levels of activity, the average hunter-gatherer walked about 7 miles per day. Each group, the sedentary office workers and the hunter-gatherers, burned the same number of calories. The results of this study have gone on to become what's referred to as the exercise paradox. Said simply, that people burn pretty much the same amount of calories regardless of activity, and therefore shifting the blame from the calories outside of the equation to the calories inside of the equation. But to me, it's not the most important paradox of the study. What the researchers also discovered is that both the office workers and hunter-gatherers consume the same number of calories. They consume the same and burn the same. But the Hadza are lean and metabolically healthy with an average body fat of around 13.5%, while the average office worker tends to gain weight and has a much higher body fat percentage. Now, what explains the difference? The magic of whole foods. In the study, the Hadza consumed 95% of their diet in the form of raw whole foods, and they walked miles per day. Compare that to the average Western diet of 55% ultra-processed food, foods that have been shown to impact hormones, including testosterone in men, a hormone strongly associated with lean mass. Now let's remember that walking has also been used as a tool to control blood sugar. It's the first tool used in women with gestational diabetes, and the calories are only part of the story here. Walking has been shown to stimulate glucagon, a hormone responsible for signaling energy burn and fat burn within the body. It's one of the 3 hormones targeted by retatrutide, a new class of weight loss drugs, which has led to a 24 to 28% loss in total body weight in the phase 2 clinical trial. This is a powerful drug for fat loss, and the primary mechanism of action, the same as walking. Now, what actually explains the exercise paradox? Whole foods and walking. We modern humans love to fight about food. What is the optimal human diet? Is it vegan? Is it paleo, carnivore? Reasonable people can disagree, and maybe there even is a single best human diet. But the overwhelming, unavoidable conclusion that one comes away with after studying the diets and lifestyles and the health of traditional people is that there are a great number of patterns of eating that will grow and sustain strong, vibrant, and healthy humans. The isolated Swiss ate a diet consisting mostly of rye bread and cheese with meat once per week. The Masai drink the milk from cow mixed with blood. The Hadza eat a variety of plants and animals, ranging from tubers to giraffes and baboons. The native Peruvians utilize seafood and crops. Polynesians, indigenous Australians, consume a wide variety of plants and marine life. And every group enjoys the same incredible health and vitality, despite incredible differences in food. But there's one food that no group eats: ultra-processed foods. And they are the one food, the key difference which explains the failing health outcomes in the developed world. Despite more access, more information, more medicine and technology, it is the food that we are eating that no human throughout human history ever has, and we're paying the price. We've spent decades battling each other as to which food is to blame. Is it meat? Is it plant toxins? Is it sugars? But the record of ancestral people is clear. Humans have thrived on a great variety of foods, so long as it's real food. Now, you may be inclined to disagree with me. No, meat is actually the problem, or no, it's really oxalates or lectins or gluten, or whatever your enemy of choice is. But here's the question that liberated me from my participation in the diet wars. And that is that food literally the worst thing that you could consume from the perspective of your health? Is meat or spinach or soy literally the worst thing that you could be eating? And if you're being honest, the answer would have to be no, because each one of these foods is loaded with vitamins and minerals, despite whatever their perceived downsides are. Compare that with diet sodas, ultra-processed snack foods, candies that are loaded with food dyes. It's not even close. If you're going to pick a food to cut, a food to rail against, to pick as the worst food one could consume, it's not going to be a natural one. So if we're going to pick a fight over food, let's pick the right enemy: ultra-processed foods. That's it for me today. Thanks for the watch. Thanks for the listen. If you enjoyed this episode, you're going to like the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss another episode.